This is The Art of Startup War, and I am your sensei, Brian McMahon. Now, in Season 1 and 2, I got inside the minds of startup investors. In Season 3, I brought in entrepreneurs to share their startup journey. Here, in Season 4, we combine both so you can hear investors critique the investment value proposition of individual companies. You're going to hear how investors make decisions to invest in startups, what makes a great entrepreneur, and how billion-dollar companies are built. So tune in every Tuesday, 10 a.m. on all the major platforms. You can empower your tribe by sharing the podcast, and remember to subscribe, rate, review, and leave us a comment. Good morning. It's Tuesday morning. It's 10 o'clock. We're back in the fridge again. You have, of course, got Alex Kisson here, who is the investment owner of the fund and Expert Dojo. So everything that we're investing comes through Alex. So he's the man making the decisions, which makes this actually really interesting because not only do we have another great founder in here that we're going to talk to about his business and exactly what's happening in his world, but also we get to analyze this from the perspective of an accelerator. Is it ready now? Is it going to be ready in the future? If it's going to be ready in the future, what needs to change or happen to make it ready? So we will speak and we will be real and we will say it exactly as it is. Nick, welcome to the fridge.
Beautiful. Thank you so much. Thank you so much.
Good intro.
Yeah,
you're going to talk about kids, right? I'm going to talk about kids. We're going to talk about dads. We're going to talk about changing the world a little bit for the better.
Yeah, all of that stuff all in one. That's exactly sort of what I like to say that I do.
Boom. And we started this conversation speaking about vegetarianism. I had my first veggie burger that I liked, honest to God.
And I started the conversation off doing what I usually do and just poking at people.
Yeah. But
so we didn't quite get in a punch-up before the podcast, but it was close.
We did, yeah.
Believe me, there's no punch-ups. You guys are British, man. You guys don't get in fights. Everybody's
just call me British.
Pardon me, from the Isles of the England where I am
from the
British
place
British Isles.
that the British raped and pillaged for a couple of thousand. We just need to get it.
I apologize.
It wasn't Alex, to be fair.
Scottish.
It wasn't Alex.
See, you insulted my vegetarianism, and then I insulted your culture. So.
I just insulted the flavor of an Impossible Burger.
Okay, I'm just shouting out at the beginning of the podcast, everybody should try an Impossible Burger. It is one of the few unicorns which is worthy of being a unicorn. It has real product with real value.
It's true.
It makes money and people like it.
And those guys are killing it. Those guys are so successful right now. There's actually a shortage for their meat. They've got themselves in Del Taco. It's doing well. They've got themselves in Carl's Jr.
We just took them out of Cheesecake, the greatest carnivore killer place on the planet.
As far as entrepreneurs go and what those dudes are doing, I think that is a company that you want to have a look at.
It's phenomenal. And the fact that they've attacked the niche so well and they've created a product that is transcendent. It's no longer a vegetarian product. It is now just a burger.
Right.
And that's exactly what we talk about here at Expert Dojo and exactly how it is that we look at businesses.
Well, and in a lot of ways, it's what are you selling at the end of the day? And that's what, you ask me what I do. It's like, well, okay, I make a shirt. No, that's not what I do. I sell closeness to your kid. That's what I sell. Because if I'm selling shirts, I'm not going to sell any shirts. If I sell you being a better dad because you wear my shirt when you're starting being a dad, I'm probably going to sell a few more shirts. So that's my marketing angle.
Yeah, absolutely right. So let's speak a little bit about that. And let's talk about how it came about.
Okay, so first off, we have not mentioned what my name of my company is,
DadWare.
or what it is, or is this going to pop up on the side or something?
No, you're going to talk about it.
All right,
you're going to talk about it. We are going to use the power of communication
this voice
to take people from a seed of what germinated as a feeling into an incredible company.
So what the product is, so I own a company called DadWare, and our main product is called the Bondaroo.
Well, can we go back? Let's go back to the moment. Yeah, just go right back to the start because I want to go through the journey a little bit and I want to go through how it conceptualized. I want to look at the difficult parts of it and then I want to take it forward to where it is today.
So my mom and my dad met in the 70s, and so it basically, so I moved out to LA about 9 years ago to be an actor and a comedian.
Mate, I was sure there was a psychedelic drug story just about to lock into that before it came off. Go on.
Hey, how do you know so much about me?
Google is a powerful tool.
Oh my God.
Go on.
This is terrifying.
Leave his mom alone.
So I came out here to be an actor and a comedian, and then about 5 years ago, I was thrust into parenthood. Now, when you're in your 40s and you're an actor and a comedian and you don't have any money and you're living in a 2-bedroom apartment with a guy, that's cute. When you're in your 40s and you have a 2-bedroom apartment with a child and a partner in it and you have no money, that's not cute. So that's why for me it was like I love the idea of being an actor and a comedian, and frankly I'm quite good at it, but nobody ever noticed. And that's what it comes down to in Hollywood, right? Somebody's got to see you do it, and you got to get lucky, and that's what it is. I never got lucky. So we had this child, and I was sort of at a point in my life I didn't quite know what to do with myself, and my eyes and my ears have always been open. I've always sort of had a side business to keep my acting going. I owned a poker tournament company for a while, and then I've always been a waiter on the side. And I always kind of consider that being a small businessman, because you're really a salesperson and you're really just selling somebody else's stuff. And I'm trying to kiss your ass so you give me a nice tip. And it's I don't know.
You've just described what we do perfectly effectively.
Yeah, I got a really good definition the other day. A perfect user experience is to kiss the customer on all 4 cheeks.
Yeah. Right. But at a certain point, I worked at a really high level. So I worked in fine dining. I mean, we would make $400 or $500 a night in cash, and I'm standing there, and literally throughout this entire time, I look back on it. It's funny because I would say to the other waiters, I'd be like, dude, what are you doing with all your money? Like, what are you doing? You just want to be a waiter for the rest of your life? Right. And it was sort of insulting to them. But to me, it was like, I just couldn't imagine you making all this money and then not making a move out of this life. Because as great as this is, right, we're sitting here making $400 or $500. We don't have, educations to speak of. And we're making almost 6 figures a year doing this. Right. What am I going to do? Because I can't do this forever. I hate this. So at a certain point, I struggled with being a father. I was really scared about it. And one of the things I always listened to were doctors, because my dad was a doctor, so was my mom. And, one of the things that the doctor kept saying in the office was, you got to do the skin-to-skin bonding. So we go in, we have the baby, and my partner's in trouble. It went from we were in labor for 36 hours to maybe we should have an episiotomy to all of a sudden there's a needle out. Things are beeping, and nobody's asking questions anymore. These are medical professionals doing their job, right? And you don't get in the way. You don't, you know what I mean? Like, you don't stop them at this point, right? They pull the baby out, and she's got a low APGAR score, which means she's temperature wasn't right. She wasn't breathing right. Put her on the table, revive her a little bit, got her APGAR scores back up. She's looking good. And then at that moment, you have to take a baby and put it on the chest of a parent. You have to do it. And if you don't, basically what's going to happen is that baby, if you think about it, that baby's been in a warm sack of fluid for 9 months and it just got ripped out of that. You want to know why a baby screams? Try being in a jacuzzi and then thrown into an icebox. You'd scream too, right? So that's what's just going on with this baby. So you have to take that baby. You have to put that baby on your chest. Now, when you do, right, and this is what I did. I ripped my shirt off because my wife, she couldn't do anything. She literally was sitting there, she's like, I can't do it. She's passing stuff. It's all this gross stuff that you don't want to know about, but she could not be with that baby. So I took the baby, I put it on my chest, and literally everyone in the room stopped because they were like, you listened. And it was weird because apparently a lot of dads don't do this. So I'm like, I put this baby on my chest. I'm like, this is amazing. I walk over, I got these little speakers set up because I wanted to welcome this baby into the golden hour with our music, with our world. And so that's what I did. And I had this baby on my chest. The wife's sitting over there screaming her head off. And I'm just looking, and this little baby looks up at me, and I just started crying my eyes out. I've never in my entire life felt the love that I did. I was so attached to this baby all of a sudden. I was scared that I was never really going to be attached to her. And then I felt this love. And when it came down to it, people were like, well, why did you put the baby on your chest? I said, well, because you told me to. Well, they tell everyone to. Nobody ever seems to remember. So I got home and I said, how long do you want to be doing this for? And they said, well, you should do it for the first, 6 months to a year until you can't really fit the baby on your chest anymore. So I got her home and I would, take my shirt off and I put my shirt back on, and you can only do it for about 20 minutes at a time. Otherwise get hot. Everybody gets hot. So, it's kind of a constant thing, and you're constantly kind of doing it. And so I would cut holes in my shirts, and all this stuff, and you know, that was stupid because then I was just walking around with a hole in a shirt. So I literally went on to Photoshop and I drew a picture of it, of the shirt. And I said, if you just had a shirt that opened like this and you put the baby on your chest, it would be perfect. Fast forward 4 months later, I'm sitting there complaining about my job, and I'm sitting there with an entrepreneur friend, and he says, well, why don't you think of a business? I said, okay, well, I had this idea for this shirt. He goes, well, that's a great idea, so do that. And I'm like, okay, great. So how? So I go downtown and you know, you can find high-end people to design your clothing, and I wasted a ton of money on them. Then I realized I found on Craigslist you can find an alcoholic person to really screw things up, and I let her do that. And then I went to another person, and I finally got them right. And it was basically teaching myself what a pattern was, what a designer was, what a pattern maker is. Sure. What a cut and sew factory is, how to source fabric, and doing all of this stuff over the last 3 years. And that's what I've been focusing on. So in the first year, that's what I did. I focused on the product. I focused on getting the product manufactured and sort of setting up a website and getting everything done, having no idea what I was doing. I got really lucky. I got introduced to a guy who worked for a company who wholesales through Amazon. Started wholesaling on Amazon. They set up this super professional Amazon pages for me, and it didn't sell because nobody knew what the hell it was, because there's nothing like it on the market. So nobody has any idea what this thing is. People look at it, they're like, well, maybe I'll buy that. And so I have to bring a brand new product to market. They end up dropping me, but leave me my product pages. Then I take one of their guys, bring him on board to continue to manage my products on the side when I have enough money to pay him. And we kind of build this thing up. And over the last 22 months, well, I mean, since September of, the lifetime of the business, we're at $170,000 in sales. And we're at $58,000 for the year, which means we're probably going to, Christmas is typically better than Father's Day. Father's Day is our big day. We did 16,000 in the last 30 for Father's Day.
And how much did it cost you to do 16,000?
I would say my cost of,
in Facebook ads and also in cost of materials.
I usually say that one of my goods, by the time I get the money back, it's about $24. And then the cost of goods, my cost of goods was $14, and I just got my cost of goods way down to about $9.50.
And sorry, how much are you selling it for? The shirt?
37, but I'm about to raise my price to 40.
Okay, so
over Amazon,
23% margin.
Mm-hmm. Interesting.
Yeah.
It's really fascinating. Like, who knew, right? Who knew? But,
my sister's just had a baby about a year ago, and in England they're somewhat obsessive about skin to skin contact.
In England is actually a market I really want to break into.
I understand that there is a need for it. There are lots of products that are utilized at the moment by and recommended by the NHS, but basically wraps.
Right.
So you're wrapping the baby against your chest in some description.
Mm-hmm.
It's an interesting niche that I know very little about because I'm not your target market.
Of course.
Who is your target market? Who are you actually selling the product to? Is it being sold to the wife? Is it being sold to the partner?
Yeah, it's the wife.
So the wives are buying this. So that's who you have to target in the first instance.
For sure.
How are you getting into their
Pinterest this is my biggest challenge. I mean, I need zeros at the end of everything that I do. I mean, I literally have built this business with nothing. And when you're running, if my goods are costing $13, I'm getting $24 back. By the time I'm really done paying for everything at the end of the day, I'm not really making any money at all to speak of. So when I got finally on this production run, I've got my cost of goods down, and now I can actually market. But at this point, everything that I've been doing to market is a $20 a day budget. I just jacked my Facebook spend up to $60 a day because now I've actually got enough information on my Pixel to target. I did $1,500 in sales last month on my website. I don't think I did $1,500 last year on my website.
Are you going to things like the Mars classes? Are you in those sorts of spaces?
We're reading, yeah. So one of the things that we're reaching out to through things like Pinterest, which is a really interesting platform. If you're not on Pinterest right now and you're targeting towards women, you're insane. Pinterest is a really interesting platform.
And their data set is incredible.
Incredible. Their simplicity is pretty amazing because one of the things that they do, you can target keywords on their platform in a way that you can't do it on Facebook, and I really like it. I don't know about their paid ad sets. I know that they're free.
Let me rephrase that statement. It's more cost effective than doing paid Facebook ads for targeting women for early natal products.
If you know somebody that knows how to do that, I want to talk to them because I haven't figured out how to use their pay services.
We have a member of our cohort who's doing that currently.
I'm very excited because I know that I think Pinterest is the next platform, and I know they just had an IP. They're coming out with an IPO, or they were. I was so excited about them because of their potential marketability for women. If you are selling a good that targets women, I cannot. It's visual. It's everything you could possibly want to target a product. It's such a good platform. And
I had this conversation last week with one of our cohort companies. Speak to Kira at Tummy Care Max. She's been playing with this for the last couple of months.
Oh, good. I will add
actually, that's a very good idea for a partner, actually.
Yeah, that'd be cool.
She's in your space doing something entirely different.
But going to the same type of people. So actually,
exactly the same target market.
Yeah,
so she stops acid reflux within young babies.
So I know her.
So you guys should be. So this
Speak to Kira.
he actually brings up. So this is a very important point that in your particular space, because you're educating people at the same time as selling, it's a tiny bit more expensive. So you want to really focus on partners and affiliates.
Yeah.
So you take somebody like Kira. She's got a great product. We know, like, we got little ones in hers. We got little ones in yours. So they're tied in very nicely to each other. Right now, she can only sell one product with one profit margin. So she should be reselling you to her customers, and
I should be reselling her.
You got it.
And I think that's actually a really good point. And we actually had
multiply this by 40.
I know. Well, listen. I mean, that's where I am as an entrepreneur is funny because when you say multiply things by 40, and I just did 1,000 unit production run. Doesn't sound like a whole lot. Well, that cost me $10,000 or $9,500. My credit limit is completely stretched. Here's my credit limit, and I've got about, I think I've got about $1,500.
Welcome to the founder's journey.
It's, and this is the thing about being an entrepreneur, about money management and cash flow management and inventory management. These are things that nobody teaches you. You have to learn this stuff. And I think the biggest trouble that I've had in this whole thing really has been an inventory management problem, because one of the things that I did was I started out with 4 different colors. Because I listened to a bunch of people that were in the garment industry telling me how to do this. I don't need 4 colors. I need 1 color. I have one product.
This is not something you're wearing to the club.
Exactly.
Well, maybe you are.
So I'm sitting here with all these SKUs and wasting all this inventory across all these sizes. And the biggest thing that matters is the size.
Agreed.
And so I'm sitting here. And so, these are lessons that it takes you time to learn. And now that I've got all this stuff down, I've got this giant inventory. I'm so excited for the summer because it's typically our slowest time. I actually looked at my face. We're spending some money now, spending $60 a day on Facebook. And I don't know if that's crazy. I don't know if but I feel like my $20 ad spend always results in something.
So here's the hard thing. So I'm a guerrilla warrior when it comes to sales. It's my only superhero strength, right? It's what I do. And whether that is evangelizing on stage, or whether it's getting PR where PR is not warranted, or whether it's building up partnerships and affiliates, which are my absolute favorites. All of these things are free.
Right.
Like reaching out to conferences to speak on stage is free. Sure. Getting partners on board is free.
Right.
So if you have $1,500 left over, then you're looking for all of the most effective free ways you can do.
Yeah.
And they become very real conversations. Like
right.
you very quickly you learn that the conversation of, I want to promote you and you should promote me. It's like, no, tell me exactly what email you're going to send out, and when you're going to send it out, and who you're going to send it to, and how many people. And then I will reciprocate with exactly, or as close to exactly as I possibly can with that amount of people on Tuesday at 2:00.
And blogging is one of the things that I found. I had a pin go viral on Pinterest, and we got something like 20,000 hits on the pin.
That's cool.
That's awesome. I just don't know how you replicate.
There's a lot of mom groups, though. There are a lot of mom.
Thank you. I don't know how you replicate it either, because it was a pin that we posted 3 months ago.
There are loads of mom groups.
And it's amazing. But what I look for in instances like yours are aggregation points. How is it that you get to as many customers as possible?
Absolutely.
Without spending too much of your time and money.
Right.
Yeah.
How is it that I find a single avatar and then find 1,000 more people with exactly the same motivations in life and exactly the same need in life at that point in time?
Do you have a shirt, by the way?
On me? I think I probably have one in my bag.
Why don't you wear it all the time? Just out of interest.
Why don't I wear it all the time?
That's a really interesting point. You look ridiculous, but people will ask you the question consistently.
Yeah, I mean, I tell you, I like to.
You hear about the guy who's wearing who's wearing a shirt for a baby when his child is 22?
There are certain points in LA where it wouldn't look that weird, to be entirely fair.
Well, I mean, listen, if I'm going to go to a networking event or something like that, like totally, that's actually a great idea. But as far as like wearing it, I like to look. At some point, I'd like to have sex with women again. I don't know. I mean, but look, it's an attractive shirt, but like, it's.
No, because
it's built
you're
for
right.
Yeah, it's built for a purpose.
No, I am right.
I know you're right.
Because this is when we talk about total commitment.
Yeah.
This is total commitment,
No,
and it's also about product development, right? So what happens is this: you want to have, because the concept of what you've created, we really like. Right?
Cool.
The idea of actually having a shirt that gets you closer bonding with your baby. More importantly, forget us. Women really like it. Like the whole reason that kids say "dada" first is because most women are extremely good at being able to follow through and make sure that the child builds the right type of rapport and does the right type of things so that the father bonds, right? Now, these days it's easier because we bond really quickly, but like 40, 50 years ago, that wasn't necessarily the case, right? So you're buying into a group of people who automatically want to make sure that the father bonds. So there's no friction. Everybody's going in the same direction, right? Which is extremely powerful. But what you have to do is either you have to live your product every single minute of the day while you're developing it. Once it's $1 billion company, maybe you don't have to do it. Or actually, maybe you have to do it twice as much, right? Once you've exited, you don't have to do it. But while doing that, you have to make sure that if it's not right for a certain environment, then you design a shirt that is right for that environment. And you use it as your continual product development to go all the way through.
Or you get a big group of beta testers who are consistently giving you that feedback as well and advocating for your product. So if you're not the chief evangelist for your product, somebody has to wear that mantle.
You got to wear, and listen, I'll add one extra thing on here before you answer. We got a load of Dojo shirts, and if I hadn't got so fat, I would be wearing my Dojo shirt every single day. Because I look ridiculous now, but I look even more ridiculous in a medium-sized shirt with a 70-year-old belly sticking out the front. But I would go to a nightclub with my Expert Dojo shirt on.
Well, of course.
I would go
I wear a DadWare hat almost everywhere I go.
Not the same. Not the same.
So, granted,
it's not the
Not
product.
the same.
No,
it's not the product.
I get it.
It's like saying, hey, you know what? I have a cool product. I'm not wearing it today because I
Right.
want to look awesome.
Right,
You want to make sure your
right.
product reflects you. Because what will happen is, look, you come into the mall here. There's 1 million people come through this mall every single month. At least 10,000 of those are obscenely wealthy. Right? Now,
Obscenely.
Obscenely wealthy. You did fine dining, so you understand this, right? Of those 10,000 people, there are probably 2,000 of those people who are going through a very serious life event at one particular moment. And that may be that they just had a child and that children are the most important thing in the world. Maybe they've had something terrible happen with a child, but they will be going through something that is more important than money. You touch in an area which is a very important area. And it's the same type of area as imminent death, terrible disease, stuff that happens to people. So, for example, if you have something to do with cancer, you know that a lot of people are going to be touched with cancer. And as long as they believe, as long as they have confidence that what you're doing is important, they will buy into you. If they buy into you, you got your next investor there. You have your next buyer there. You have your next distributor there. Like, you got to do this.
Well, it's interesting because I really, at the end of the day, one of the biggest expansions for this is into a medical device because
that was going to be my next suggestion.
If my patents can hold up, this is a very easy access to your chest. So if you're having any sort of surgery or if you're having any sort of chemo or anything like that. Now, unfortunately, I designed it for a right-handed person, and I always sort of pictured you opening it this way and putting it on this way, so it only opens on this side. And most people, I have marketed towards chemo, and I get a lot of returns for it because most people put their ports on the right. So I literally have to flip the side over, which again is another 5 SKUs, which sucks. But if the market is there, I don't care. I put it on a hospital gown for moms, and I want to put it on a gown for mothers.
But you're making a very interesting point, and that point is that you have multiple markets for this same product.
Yeah.
But
completely
the
limited by
aggregation,
capital.
the aggregation point for all of those markets is doctors.
Oh, for sure. And this is one of the things that that birthing centers, doulas, and all that kind of stuff is. one of the things that I did was I did a Fiverr. I got 100 birthing centers and doulas, all their information. And then I did a MailChimp.
But do you know how many doctors run angel groups in Southern California?
A what?
They run investor groups. A lot. There's a lot.
Right.
There's a lot. And doctors would like this.
You don't have to explain this product to them for a second.
No,
they understand
wouldn't.
exactly what you're doing.
I sure wouldn't.
And you need to be speaking to those people.
Right. Well, I need to be introduced to them. See, because do you want to meet some comedians and cool guys like that? I'll introduce them to you. I don't really know anybody.
Always.
But I'm just excited to meet you.
But the thing that angels, this is something that you don't need to be introduced to. Angels are really looking for exciting products.
Oh, for sure. No, I just mean in the sense, I mean, look, at the end of the day, I mean, life is about who you know. And even in this world.
Always.
You guys are an excellent turnkey. And I'm first off, I'm excited. I didn't even know. You know how I applied for you guys in the first place? I didn't even know how you guys got DadWare.
We spoke a while ago.
But yeah, but I had Parenter was another thing, another idea that I have is sort of a continuation for this, but I have literally no money to even begin that idea. So that's just going to sit there until I get
one thing at a
capital
time
to do it. Right. I mean, and that's literally the way that I'm looking at it. But if you were to ask, is there a continuation for DadWare? Absolutely, I have a plan. It's an app, and it's an interesting idea. It needs capital. I got more ideas than I know what to do with. I'm limited by two things: capital and a support staff to execute. Because it's just me.
Everybody has. Dial it back in because everybody has got lots of ideas, right? The only thing that matters is DadWare.
No,
right?
DadWare is the only thing
how
that
you
matters.
get that out. Now, so there's two things you have to do. Firstly, well done. You've managed to build up traction on something that never existed before. You've managed to create the product. You've managed to make the product real by actually getting it designed and brought out there. And you've actually managed to make money. Yeah. So all of those things are no mean feat when it comes to clothing, which is extremely hard. Yeah. You now have the second phase you have to do before even going down the investment road. Mm-hmm. And that phase is either you get buy-in from the hospital as you go down that road, and maybe you just wear it around the hospitals. Maybe that's the point. Yeah. Maybe you're always there, you're outside the hospital, you go to a different one every single day, and you say, listen, I have this is my device, this is what it do, it's great for babies, tell me where I go to and here to find them. Right. Also, yoga clinics. You want to hang around yoga clinics. Like I do
hot yoga. By the way, guys,
first place.
If you want to deal with that, hot yoga,
he's pointing to my belly. And the thing is, he didn't need to point very far. Like, he lost his finger. He's only got 4 fingers left.
And listen, I would not call myself in any way skinny.
No, you're right there with me, buddy.
I'm right
just
there
want
with
you to know.
I am, but
I actually got a text this morning calling me butterballs.
Did you really?
Yeah,
your wife is incredibly mean to you.
Yeah, it's true. But the second thing you need to do now is confidence. Mm-hmm. You have to prove concept. Either number one, you nail the medical side of it. You start getting hospitals recommending it. Yes, you do know them. You can go to every one every day. There's a million clinics.
You start with those doctors who are in the birthing room with you, who saw you put the baby on your chest, and you speak to them about why it is that this product was developed and how it is that they inspired it. And that's a narrative that plays. That's a narrative that's really nice.
Don't do any more MailChimp. Nobody opens MailChimp. It's mass emails that goes into people's spams.
It works.
You'd be surprised. Actually, I did get a fairly large amount of opens. No. I really did. I got 40.
How many people bought one?
Oh, it wasn't about buying.
It is about buying, though.
It's about conversion.
It is only about conversion.
Well, but not if I'm sending it to. I don't think a doula is going to buy one. I'm literally sending.
No, you want a response of some description.
No, I understand. But the reason that what I did, because you're thinking that I did it for something else. What I did, I found the birthing centers and the doulas because I was trying to find key holders.
Clever.
And I was emailing them to say, hey, I exist. This is my product.
Why?
Check me out. Because they don't know I exist.
But why? Why do you want them to know you exist?
Because if a doula in a birthing class sits across from a dad and says, you should buy this shirt, I will bet you they will buy that shirt.
To my point.
Yeah.
The reason that you are emailing them is for somebody to buy your shirt.
Right. For sure.
Did anyone buy your shirt?
I don't know how you track that.
You have to track. All I'm saying about MailChimp, by the way, we all use, so I'm not attacking MailChimp, but I need to take, the distinction here is extremely important.
Right.
We all use MailChimp, Benchmark, Constant Contact, HubSpot, something, right? We all use the same thing, right? That is for large, general branding type emails, which go and associate with other things. What we're suggesting is something very different. We're suggesting you take a targeted list of 100 or 200, 300 people, and you follow those guys up and girls up like you are a stalker. Okay. They see you standing outside their surgery. They see you outside their house in the evening. They get your email through. everything turns up. It's all coordinated. That's number one. Second thing I want to say, because I want to bring us all to a place where we're wrapped up. Second thing I want to say, and you can come back on both, is why have you not done a Kickstarter campaign or a...
I did.
You did?
Yeah.
Well, how did it work?
Well, I mean, it was in the very beginning.
Was there engagement?
No. I mean, it was friends and family donated about $600.
Okay, fair enough. Yeah. Because
You know what I mean? And again, I didn't have a budget. And every single person that I've ever known have a Kickstarter puts 20 grand into it. And then they say they made $1 million. And you're like, well,
they have
to. But you invested.
Are they put like $800,000 in and they get $1 million?
Right. Legitimately, right? So, yeah, thank you.
By the way,
we'll take a little echo.
I opened the door. Hey, Vincent, can you hold that door open? I opened the door because we're in a fridge, which technically should be a freezing cold place, but it ain't freezing cold in here. It is warm. Oh, that's okay, Vincent. Perfect.
You guys can keep recording.
Perfect.
The door open.
Yeah, mate. This is the warmest place on the planet.
I thought we were doing this intentionally.
It is hilarious,
it's called Torture the Entrepreneur.
Yeah.
Well, see, and listen, one of the things that I like to actively acknowledge that I don't know anything, right? Like, I like to actively say that as an entrepreneur, I don't know what I'm doing on a daily basis and remind myself of that, because an ego is the one thing that I've seen murder more business people and entrepreneurs because they don't listen to people standing around them. One of the things I'm so excited to be here because I'm excited to get what you guys have in your heads, and I know there's a fucking lot of shit there, and I don't know if we're supposed to curse or not. But
it's all right. Brian set the precedent earlier.
Good.
I set the precedent most podcasts.
Good. But that's the point. And if there's one thing that I mean, I think we got to close up here. But if there's one thing I was going to say to anybody who's an entrepreneur, is don't listen to your own shit and to the people that are closest to you.
Your mom loves you.
Your mom loves you. Your wife loves you. But you know what? If you're listening to them for your you got to have somebody from the outside standing in saying, hey, listen, what you're doing here is not right. And if you're never hearing that, then chances are there's something very wrong that you're doing.
I love that. That's great advice. So I want to wrap this into how we're going to get him to a place of having $500,000 a year in revenue, because once you start sitting like $250,000, $500,000, it then becomes really interesting.
Well, then
as an accelerator model,
and he also jumps probably straight past us and into a seed round, which is
possibly
actually quite what I want for every entrepreneur I meet. If they can get there, I'm very excited about it.
Well, and that's not a disingenuous thing, or at least it shouldn't be for you, because if you help somebody get to the next level, that person will never forget you and will kick you people.
And accelerators,
how many people do we meet on our road, man?
No, it's very true. It's very true.
And it's all network, and it's all my references are gold. Anybody who's ever worked with me who gets a reference from me gets money from me, because I only send them people that I know are going to work with.
But accelerators are here to build ecosystems. We're not here to build unicorns. We're here to build ecosystems that are interesting to continue to invest into.
Right.
I agree with you. So how do we get them to 500? By the way, I love your idea. I think the idea of the medical centers is a brilliant idea, because the more validation we get from those guys, the easier it's going to be.
That would be my first call when I leave this place, is call your OBGYN.
Okay.
The person who helped deliver the baby, who saw you hold that baby and helped you originate the idea. Even if they're just an advocate for what you're doing, they become part of that narrative. And that's a very strong narrative.
And I think that if you were to get an OBGYN list and do a hard mail blast, I think that would work.
I'm in agreement, but you want number one engaged first. And that number one engaged first is the one who knows you, who helped deliver.
Yeah.
And
yeah,
also,
she's from Russia, and I literally can't pronounce it.
But it adds weight to the entire conversation.
I cannot stress this enough. We're in a world right now that people need to be hit 10 to 15 times. It used to be we used to hit people like 2-3 times, and we're okay. Now it's somewhere between 7, 8, 10, and 15 times before people even notice what the brand is coming through. Mm-hmm. When I wake up in the morning, I normally have about 120, 130 emails in my inbox. My happiest moment is the first 40, because they delete the quickest. And literally what I do, I don't open them. I can tell which ones are sent through MailChimp and other areas, right? So I just, on the side of Gmail, I just do boom, 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 click each one of them, and I lose 25 to 40 immediately. Anything which is not specifically for me that requires an answer. Now, if you, on the other hand, wrote me an email to say, Brian, I heard from Jenny that you're one of the top people when it comes to delivering babies. And as a father who is incredibly close to my baby, I invented this design to make sure that you could bond parents with their kids really quickly. I wonder if you wouldn't mind giving me 5 minutes of your time that I could explain a little bit more. I swear to God, the bullshit MailChimp mail is going straight in the deleted box.
No.
But they got to. You're a dick if you don't. If you do not reply to that mail, you're a dick. And now we move further than some BS branding.
It's a step further than that. I don't even get those messages. I employ a filter that ensures that they never touch my mailbox.
Wow. Yeah, for sure.
Because I get such a large volume of cold reach outs that I would not have time to even dedicate the attention to it.
Wow.
So I just make sure that they don't come to me and I don't respond. If someone's not actually reaching out to me, I'm not interested in the conversation.
Sure.
So MailChimp is gone.
Right.
But what you are going to do is once you work on your positive direct outreach, you will use MailChimp as a reinforcement. So like we do an email every single week to people, of which I don't care how many people read it because it's just a general update on what's happening. But when I want someone specifically, I didn't send a MailChimp out to say, oh, who'd like to do a podcast? We did direct outreach because we get the people that we want to come through. So firstly, do that. Number two. So number one, get aggressively stalkerish on your outreach to the people who are going to directly help you.
I'm not sure we should be using the word stalkerish.
It's okay in entrepreneurship. It's actually a very used word.
Especially with babies, man. I mean,
it's a very used word. It's a very used word. Hey, listen, anybody out there who's not an entrepreneur, live a friggin' day in our shoes. Stalker's okay, right? So number one, you got to do that. Number two, you have to quantify with milestones. And when I say milestones, I mean every single day you set yourself a target for the amount of people that you have to outreach to, how many prospects you want to get to, how many sales you're going to get, and what it's going to worth every
talking about
single
accountability to
day.
yourself.
well, now, yes. And
There's no but here.
Between it wasn't but between blogging and being the active sort of face of skin to skin bonding to the medical community. I completely agree with you. But as far as what I'm currently doing right now, this minute, I am running some Facebook ads, and I'm just curious if you think that is just an absolute flush of money.
I would turn it all off. I would turn it all off and I would engage directly with the medical professionals that move your business forward.
Because here's the thing, though. If I turn these Facebook ads, I swear to God, I see a drop in my sales.
Hang on. Hold on. Just before we answer that, what is your cost of acquisition on Facebook versus what you're making on your product?
Because I look at Facebook. I look at marketing across all budgets, right? Like I don't.
You have to. Okay, so can I just? We're not gonna have this conversation.
Okay,
and I'll tell you why we're not gonna have the conversation because you need to be able to measure exactly for every single marketing channel. Let's say there's 12, 14 marketing channels, right? Just follow me through with this. You got partners, people like Kira. You got she's actually would be an affiliate because she would want revenue for an affiliate for what she refers over, right? As would you from her, right? You should do. Then you got partners, and they're just people who've got aligned mains. So for example, we have partners. We've maybe 20,000 people in our email database. 4 of our partners have got 20,000 people. If I could just hit 80,000 people, I don't need money or anything else. I just hit 80,000 people for free or 60,000 people for free. So we got partners. We also have review sites. So the more reviews that we can get on places like Yelp or other areas, the more people are actually going to come from that. We also have paid marketing, whether it's Google or Facebook or anything else. We also have social marketing when it comes through there too. We also have direct outreach. We also have blogs. We also have email marketing. So let's say there's 12 or 14. You literally have to allocate 3 to 4 marketing channels every single month, and you measure either the time or the money that you spent on them, and you measure the inquiries, the activities, the prospects, the sales, and the sales amount. That's all. And only when you do that, only when you can answer the exact answer, one quantitative answer, I spend $60 a day on Facebook ads, it brings me in $120 a day on sales, boom, that's it. And then do it on every single one. Are you able to go down that road? And until you do that, I would actually, it's just for a month, you can keep Facebook going for 1 month, but only if you measure it every single day, and only if that measurement is actually showing a positive outcome. If not, and combined, you go down his road and you hit 10, 15 people every single day in the medical space.
First off, that's going to happen regardless of what I do over here. So that's done. Because you're right. I mean, getting me out to the medical community, basically the gatekeepers. I totally agree with you. The issue that I've always had with Facebook in general and with my sales in general is because the minute they get into Amazon's atmosphere, I can't track them. So if I'm using Facebook ads to send them to Amazon, which is what I do because it converts way better, I think, but I wouldn't really know than my website, right? It's tough for me to track. Now, there's something called Zon Tracker. You want to talk about Facebook, you can talk about Facebook all day, but they say that they track it, then I don't even know about their info. I literally emailed them today about their data sets, and I don't know what their data sets are like. But
it's only small money. I get what you're saying, but it's only small money. So I wouldn't get.
It's $60 a day. It's not a lot of money.
I wouldn't get too much into the weeds of it. I would just say, like, whether you combine Facebook and Amazon or you separate them, it doesn't matter because it's only $60 a day. Okay. It's just about looking at your total spend versus your thing.
I'm raising my hand because this is becoming an argument for no apparent reason. The only thing that
it's not an argument.
It's not an argument. It's a very
the only thing that you're spending money on at the moment is data collection.
Right.
That's actually the only thing that you're investing in at the moment. You're building a data set that teaches you more about who's buying your product. Mm-hmm. If the money that you're spending is not giving you that information, stop spending it.
We're going to agree to differ a tiny bit on this.
Yeah.
Because if you have positive ROI in your spend,
I'm in full agreement,
cares
but
about
you
the
don't
data
know anything about your customer. And at the moment, that is your most important asset.
The data that I have about my customers actually is relatively good. I mean, because I can see, look, I can tell you who's clicking, and I can tell you there is some pixeled information
Then there's value to it, and I rescind my comment,
okay,
but
cool.
Only as and when you understand who that customer is and what they're doing once they've clicked from...
And try different avatars. So look, we've got to wrap up, but I want to wrap up in this one place. It's a really, really important and interesting conversation for entrepreneurs listening everywhere, because what you go through is not isolated to you. We go through it when we're trying to get outreach to people. Everybody listening goes through it. How do we do? And most people end up just going for the standard Facebook ads. So the fact that we're having this conversation is incredibly important. So I want to leave it at this. You have built up something really interesting that I would have thought impossible. I remember when we first had the conversation, and I'm like, dude, I don't know. I don't think that's going to make it. But you've proven me wrong. Really. And
You're not the only person.
There's nothing I like more than somebody creating something brilliant, proving me wrong. And I really mean it. I don't even want to say it wrong, proving me that optimistic towards what you can do.
And I agree with that.
Okay.
It's a great statement, by the way.
Your next point is about going from $120 grand a year, which you're going to get to this year, to $500,000 a year, right? So you want to be an aggressive ninja marketing warrior. Start on his, see how that works, and be obsessive about it all. Once you bring your revenue up to a run rate of only double of where you are right now, then we restart having this conversation about accelerators and where we can take you to and what we can do. And actually, to Alex's point, you're going to have other options start coming in at that time. So I want to finish it with maybe one thought on this entire process and everything you've gone through, which is a message to entrepreneurs everywhere. And then also finish with your email and with the website so people can contact you.
You got it. Wait, say that again? What do you mean?
What message would you like to leave our huge audience?
Your entire journey, put into one sentence.
The biggest thing, as far as being an entrepreneur goes, if there's one thing I can say to every entrepreneur out there, is just be humble and be strong and listen to yourself, but always question yourself. And, when you said, I love being wrong, I love it when I'm wrong. I love it when I'm wrong and I didn't spend a lot of money, is what I'm really saying. But I learned a lesson. And the more lessons you learn, because you're being humble, is the more money you're going to save at the end of the day. If you want to get in touch with me, my name is Nick Baker. It's nick@mydadware.com, and my website is mydadware.com.
Beautiful.
Thank you guys.
Thanks, Nick.
Thank you.
That was awesome, mate.
Thank you.
To be continued.
To be continued, for sure.
That's a wrap.
Let's get out of the fridge.
I know.
Thanks for joining us. If you love the podcast, please empower your circle by sharing these stories. The Art of Startup War is brought to you by Expert Dojo. And remember, we invest in startups, $50,000 checks. Make sure you apply on our site if you are one of those great entrepreneurs looking to bring your company to the next level. As far as the Art of Startup War is concerned, we are back every single Tuesday at 10 a.m. So remember,
check out the new episodes. If you want to find out what the investors think, check out season 1 or 2, but make sure you join us every single week.